The sun bathed the quiet suburban neighborhood of Willow Creek in a golden afternoon glow, illuminating the neatly manicured lawns, tall oak trees lining the streets, and rows of pristine two-story homes with brick facades and white picket fences. Children biked along the sidewalks, their laughter blending with the occasional chirping of birds, and families waved at each other from their porches. It was the kind of place that seemed to exist in postcards, a picture of peace and community. But beneath the calm surface, unspoken tensions lingered. Into this world arrived the Anderson family, full of hope and excitement. David Anderson, tall and broad-shouldered with deep brown skin and a calm, commanding presence, parked their SUV in front of their new home on Sycamore Lane. His dark beard was neatly trimmed, his eyes reflecting years of dedication and strength. Recently appointed as the town's new police chief, David saw this move as a fresh start for his family. Beside him, his wife, Elena, smiled warmly. A beloved elementary school teacher, known for her patience and grace, Elena had a gentle aura that instantly put people at ease. Their children, Lena, 13, and Miles, 8, were already racing toward the house, buzzing with excitement. "This is it," Elena breathed, her eyes wide with hope. David wrapped an arm around her. "Our new beginning." The house was everything they had dreamed of. 2 stories, a wide front porch, and a sprawling backyard perfect for weekend barbecues and kids' adventures. But as they unpacked boxes and made the house their own, they remained unaware of the quiet disapproval brewing across the street. Peering out from her lace-curtained window was Margaret Whitfield, a 72-year-old woman who had lived in Willow Creek for over 4 decades. Her silver hair was impeccably styled, her posture straight, her pressed blouses a testament to her commitment to tradition. To her, Willow Creek wasn't just a neighborhood. It was a legacy of values and familiarity, one she guarded fiercely. Margaret's eyes narrowed as she watched the Andersons carry boxes inside. "More of them," she muttered, her lips curling into a thin line. She had heard the town gossip. David Anderson was the new police chief, but that did little to soften her unease. Change, to Margaret, was something to be resisted, especially when it came in forms that challenged her sense of control. The first encounter between the two families was stiff. Elena, planting flowers in the front yard a few days later, looked up as Margaret approached with her small terrier, Baxter, tugging on the leash. "Good morning," Elena greeted with genuine warmth. Margaret replied, her tone clipped. "I'm Margaret Whitfield. Been here 40 years. It's wonderful to meet you, Mrs. Whitfield. We're really excited to be part of the neighborhood." Margaret eyed Elena critically. "It's different now." Elena's smile faltered for just a moment. "Well, change can be good, right?" Margaret didn't reply, choosing instead to comment on the flowers. "Those petunias won't do well in that soil," before abruptly leaving. Despite the icy reception, the Andersons tried to integrate. David introduced himself to neighbors. Elena baked cookies for the house next door, and Lena and Miles explored the local parks. Yet, subtle slights began to surface. Short, polite conversations that felt hollow, invitations that never came, neighbors who offered strained smiles before quickly turning away. Margaret continued her daily walks, eyeing the Anderson house with disdain. In her mind, they didn't belong. But the Andersons refused to be discouraged. "Let's host a barbecue," Elena suggested one evening. "Invite the neighbors, break the ice." David hesitated but saw the wisdom in it. "It's time we show them who we really are." They spent days planning. Elena perfected the menu. David set up games for kids, and Lena made bright, colorful invitations. They even delivered one to Margaret. "I don't usually attend those sorts of things," Margaret said, barely glancing at the invitation. "We'd love to have you, even just for a little while," Elena offered with a hopeful smile. Margaret nodded curtly. "We'll see." The barbecue that changed everything. The afternoon of the barbecue was perfect. Sunny skies, the smell of grilling ribs wafting through the air, kids splashing in an inflatable pool, and upbeat music playing softly in the background. Neighbors trickled in, some out of curiosity, others because they genuinely wanted to give the Andersons a chance. David manned the grill, while Elena welcomed guests with her signature warmth. The children played games, laughter ringing out across the yard. But not everyone was pleased. Margaret sat in her window, clutching a glass of iced tea, her expression hard. She watched the diverse group mingling in the Andersons' backyard, her discomfort growing into something darker. "They're turning this into something else," she whispered to herself. Fueled by her simmering resentment, Margaret picked up the phone and dialed 911. "Yes, there's a disturbance," she said carefully. "A large crowd, loud music. I'm concerned there might be trouble." The moment of reckoning. The police car pulled up with its lights flashing. Conversations at the barbecue halted as two officers stepped out, their expressions neutral until they recognized David. "Chief Anderson," one officer blinked in surprise. David's jaw tensed. "Evening, officers. Everything all right? We received a complaint about a disturbance." David glanced at Elena before answering. "Just a neighborhood barbecue." The officers scanned the scene, families chatting, kids laughing, not a hint of trouble. Embarrassed, they apologized and left. From her window, Margaret watched in disbelief. She had expected a confrontation, perhaps even the barbecue being shut down. Instead, the police had left without issue. David returned to the barbecue, but the damage was done. A heavy tension hung in the air. "Who would do that?" Elena asked, her voice shaking. David didn't answer. He didn't need to, but their neighbors noticed too, especially Mrs. Green, an elderly woman who had lived in Willow Creek almost as long as Margaret. "This wasn't right," she told Elena quietly. "You deserve better." Turning conflict into connection. The next week, David organized a community meeting at the local rec center. The turnout was larger than expected. Neighbors came, some out of curiosity, others out of guilt or support. David stood before them. "We moved here because we wanted to be part of a community. But last weekend showed us that there's still work to do." He spoke not with anger, but with determination, about inclusion, respect, and the power of community. To everyone's surprise, Margaret stood up. "I made a mistake," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I let my fear dictate my actions. I am sorry." Her apology was met with stunned silence, followed by polite applause. A neighborhood transformed. In the months that followed, Willow Creek changed. The Andersons didn't just become neighbors, they became friends. Margaret, slowly but surely, softened. She volunteered at neighborhood events, eventually helping Elena start a community garden, where she found herself laughing alongside the very people she once resented. The barbecue that had almost torn the neighborhood apart instead became a catalyst for healing. Willow Creek wasn't perfect, but now was honest. And for David, Elena, Lena, and Miles, it finally felt like home. What would you have done if you were in David and Elena's shoes? Could you have responded with the same grace and determination? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story of community, resilience, and redemption, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales.